Hey, this is Ben Nash here again, creator of the 30 Days of Super Energy Program, founder of Come Alive Health Coaching Events, and creator of this mini training series on how to eradicate cold and flu, how to knock its socks off before you can even say achoo. All right, so I've already explained to you now, you should have an understanding of what's involved in, okay, how do we create this lifestyle initially? How do we make this cold happen initially? What do we do? What do we create? And how can we change it? So you should have some ideas now about, okay, what can I do? Now, if you've already got to that stage where you can start feeling it coming on, and you're thinking, oh no, I'm getting a cold, or you've got that tickling in the back of your throat, it's starting to come on, then this is a time for immediate action based on what you're going to learn here. And I promise you, if you adopt some or all of the principles that I'm teaching you right now, I guarantee that you will get rid of this a lot faster than you would normally. So probably you're like most people, you have a cold for maybe 7, 8, 9 days before it's completely gone from its onset. And now what if you could cut that in half? So and by the way, I'm not saying that I never get colds. I do get them, but literally they're gone in a day, maybe 2. In fact, every year now, from literally for the last 5 years, the period of time that I've been with a cold or flu or something like that has got less and less and less. And it's less intense as well. So it just doesn't bother me as much. I know it's there and it's annoying, but it doesn't bother me as much. Okay, so here's some ideas. So if you're getting this little tickly thing in your throat now, the number one thing that you want to do during your cold and even before it, the number one thing that you want to do is to drink more water. Water, yes, water. So all I mean by that is, okay, what you're saying, oh, just drink more. Well, that's so simplistic. Yeah, but are you doing it? Probably not. So how much water should you drink? So let's just imagine you are find out how much you weigh. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to work out your weight, and you want to drink 1 litre of water per every 15 to 25 kilograms in body weight. So if you're 75 kgs, you're going to want to drink between 3 and 5 litres every day. And that's what you should be doing all the time, ideally. But if you're not, then this is a time to start. And I guarantee just doing this alone, it will make things flow so much easier. Think about it. What does water do? It flows. So if you've got it flowing through you, do you think that all the stuff coming out of you is going to flow faster? Absolutely, it does, and it does work. So water's the number one thing. So even though I know what it's like though, you get a tickly throat, and the last thing that you want to do is neck a shitload of water, excuse my language. It's the last thing you want to do. But if you do it, I guarantee you it will make the process easier, and it will flow a lot faster. You'll get over it a lot faster. The number 2 thing, as we all know, right, okay, if you get a cold, then you need lots of vitamin C. Well, ideally what you need, the reason why you're getting a cold to begin with, is because you haven't got enough vitamin C. And the problem, this is why we get colds when we're stressed out, because what happens is when we get stressed, stress uses up vitamin C like it just zaps it away. So what you want to do is ideally is as soon as you recognise that you're stressing out in the winter periods of the month or any time of year for that example, the number one thing that you want to do is get some good quality vitamin C. And that's not Beecham's. Sorry, Beecham's. But it's not Beecham's. It's vitamin C. So the best form of vitamin C ideally comes from fruits and vegetables. However, there is something which I need to highlight later that you're going to need to watch out for. So what I'm recommending here, the best form of vitamin C that you can get is called Acerola. Acerola. And you can get that. You can get that in most health food stores, I believe. If you can't, you can get it online. I highly recommend you going checking out. A lot of the stuff that I'm recommending here is from my good friend's site, Elwyn Robinson of Lionheart Herbs. So go to www.lionheartherbs.com, www.lionheartherbs.com, and you'll find a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about here on that site. And I know it's also the best quality. So the next thing is obviously, so that covers vitamin C, and I'm going to go into a way that you can condense all this and what I do when I start getting the tickly cough, and so you get all of this stuff in one shot so you don't need to think about it too much, but I'm just laying it all out for you so you understand. The next thing is 3 is vitamin D. So when do we get colds the most? We get them in the winter months, which is when we have what? Less sunlight. Exactly. So vitamin D, we get vitamin D from the sunlight, the naked sunlight getting on our skin, going on, we absorb it through our skin, through the naked sunlight on our skin. So consequently, in the winter months when it's cold, we don't take our clothing off anymore, so we can't absorb vitamin D3. Now you can get it from. You can obviously get it from sunbeds. I'd only recommend certain sunbeds, not the ones that are full of EMFs, but the more natural ones. You have to forgive me, I forgot what they're called. But vitamin D3 that you can get, absorb vitamin D3, or alternatively, at the least, get it orally. So you get, again, vitamin D3, you want to buy that from somewhere so you can take it orally if necessary. But it's really important, vitamin D3, especially in the winter months. We need vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 deficiency can lead to all sorts of issues, but ultimately it will also we won't have a strong immune system if we don't have vitamin D. Okay. Next thing, number 4 is zinc and silver. So you'll remember traditionally the royal family were called blue bloods because they had silver cutlery, and they always ate from silver, and silver is recognised for being a cold something that can help with getting rid of colds and flus. So if it's already in full bloom, then silver is a great thing to have as part of your remedy. But just to say that, you need to be careful about what kind of silver. Don't go for the colloidal silver, because there's all sorts of interesting evidence out there of guys like having too much silver and them turning blue, and it is possible. So make sure you get the right type, which is the ionic minerals silver, which is basically where it can go straight into your cells. So the silver element can't, with colloidal silver, the particles are so big, and what happens is they get clogged and store in your skin, and that's what turns you blue. So avoid colloidal silver. And then zinc is just something that not necessarily everyone has zinc deficiency, but what tends to happen if you're always kind of like got nasal, you're always streaming even after you've got a cold or that kind of thing, that can be a result of a zinc deficiency, and it tends to be more prominent in men than it does in women, or for women after they've given birth, they can have got a higher chance of having zinc deficiency. But also, just for the purpose of this conversation, zinc and silver are also a good thing to have to build up your minerals. And again, going for the ionic mineral brands and not colloidal zinc or silver. 5 is sleep is so important. If you are wanting to be optimally well and stay with it, your stress levels are likely to go up if you have a lack of sleep. We all know that intellectually, but we do anything about it. So an ideal amount of sleep that we want to get every single night is between 7 and 8 hours minimum. I know a lot of you saying, oh, 6 hours, I haven't got the time to do that. Well, just quantify that and say, well, actually, how much time are you actually wasting during the day? I know that I have a tendency of wasting so much time, being more efficient with my time. And when I'm well rested, I am more efficient with my time. So just reframe that. Make sure you get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. Exercise, not over-exercising and not under-exercising. So also just keep exercise, light exercise can create that internal fire inside of us, which is really essential, especially during the winter period, and it can help raise our levels of immune. It can help with our immune system and strengthening the immune system. 7 is garlic, raw garlic. So important. So if you're feeling like you're getting a cold, one strategy I know a lot of people do is they literally have an abundance of garlic in a short period of time. Now, you have to be a little bit careful with garlic, because if you have it over a longer period of time and you continue having raw garlic, it can unbalance the hemispheres of the brain. So you need to be really careful about how much you have. So it's better to have like a high dosage in a small period of time than it is to have consistent amounts over a long period of time. So having literally having over a short period of time, maybe I don't know, a bulb for 2 or 3 days. I have to forgive me, I'm not able to present you with how much, because I don't actually use garlic that much. I do use it occasionally, but I don't know how to use it in a cold scenario. But all I do know is that it is a very powerful antiviral tonic herb, but we need to be careful with it. But in order to avoid that situation of unbalancing the brain hemispheres, there's a great product called Kyolic garlic extract, which means that it's basically dried. I think it's dried or something to that nature. But anyway, it doesn't affect the hemispheres of the brain, which is what raw garlic will do. Okay. Next one is turmeric. Again, extremely antifungal. It's just such a powerful thing, and ideally not getting the powder, but if you've got access to an Indian place that sells a lot of Indian foods, then they're likely to have turmeric, which is very similar to ginger. It's like a little bulb, and just juicing that or putting that in a blender, or as I'm going to show you in a minute, you can create a great drink out of it. And then of course ginger, we all know that ginger, the powerful effects that ginger has, it creates that strong internal fire inside of us, and we all know it's a great sort of cold remedy. And then lastly, number 10 is, we might not have heard so much about now, but it's the medicinal mushrooms. So medicinal mushrooms, these are absolute saviour in my opinion. they're incredible. So it's just my particular favour, which is called the king of the mushrooms, is called reishi mushroom. Reishi. And there's something very, very mystical about this mushroom. When you start inducing and having reishi on a regular basis, it just seems to open your heart, but on a more level of immunity. What reishi, or what the medicinal mushrooms specifically do, is they educate the immune system. So what that means is if it's overstimulated, it will bring it back in balance. If it's understimulated, it will bring it back in balance, and it will work with the immune system just to becoming more efficient in the way that it needs to be, especially when we have cold and flu situation. Okay? Now, with that said, there's some fundamental things that you must avoid. If you're getting that tickly throat and you're starting to feel a bit down, the number one thing that you must avoid, and it's despite everything that your body is saying, because I know what it's like. I remember this so significantly. As soon as I'm feeling down, I'd be reaching for the things that taste the best, which is sugar. Anything sweet, I'd be like gouging on it, just wolfing it down, because literally we've got these organisms inside of us that proliferate, and they're literally fertilized by sugar, and those organisms are literally waking up when we're starting to get a cold. Okay, so here's some things to avoid. So the number one thing is stay away from sugar. And when I say sugar, I mean anything that's sweet. That includes honey. Yes, lemon, ginger, honey. No honey. No honey, despite what everyone says, despite what the traditional ways have said. Oh, have a honey, lemon and ginger. No. Take the honey out of the scenario. Might make it taste good, but it's not going to make you well better. Fruit. So yes, there's obviously, we all know that oranges have an abundance of vitamin C, and in fact, not as much as this one Acerola I'm sharing with you here. But oranges are highly sweet. They've got an abundance of fructose in them. So you want to avoid fruits, bananas, anything fruity that's sweet. Okay, low sugar fruits are fine. So things like lemon and limes and grapefruits, but don't cross the borderline with grapefruit, because you can get, again, gout. It's very easy to gouge on it. Don't do that, because you basically just think of sugar as glue, and that's what happens when you're just creating more glue in your system. And then another thing that is highly you must avoid is breads, pasta, and any refined carb. So carbohydrates, no carbohydrates. I mean, I'm not saying no carbohydrates. Obviously, vegetables have carbs in them, but no refined carbohydrates. No bread, no pasta, no refined carb, no cereals. Cereals are full of sugar. All these rubbishy carb processed foods basically just turn to sugar, and then that turns to glue, and then we've got to get it all out. of our body, so we spend the next 10 days getting it all out. Okay, this might seem very restrictive, and you might be thinking, oh, what can I eat, Ben? Well, you've got to get adventurous a little bit, and I promise you that once you start looking out, having some good soups with all of these things in. Do you think you can make a good soup with turmeric, ginger, garlic, maybe some cauliflower, some green vegetables? Absolutely, you can make some delicious soups. It's just about getting adventurous with this. And the third thing that you must avoid is this. Is dairy. Dairy products. So dairy is incredibly mucus forming. Just imagine you drink a pint of milk. What do you feel, or even a glass of milk, what do you feel in the back of your throat when you've drunk that? What do you feel? What's like that? Do you get that kind of filmy taste? And that's just mucus. And so that's the last thing you want. When you have dairy products, you're just creating more mucus again for the body to get rid of. And all that guitar that you get in the back of your throat is a lot of the time it's a result of dairy. So even when I get colds now, I don't get that guitar, that feeling of some crap stuck in the back of my throat. Because I don't have dairy. I avoid it like the plague during those periods. In fact, I avoid it most of the time, and I advise that you check out, the truth behind dairy. I'm not saying that I never have dairy ever. I just choose to have the right kinds of dairy at the right times, and in adequate amounts, in small amounts. So I hope that's been useful. That's it, basically. And now, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some of these things in action, because I think it's really important. I'm going to make you a brew, an ultimate brew, which I highly recommend that you check out, that you test, you try. It tastes a bit sharp, but I promise you, if you can just keep drinking that, drink abundance amount of it. I've had a number of clients that have drunk this drink and immediately they felt better just from having it literally on the same day. So it does make a difference. So I hope those things have been useful. Go now if there's any of these products that you're committed to get. Basically what I do is I go for 3 things here. So definitely you want to do the water. You want to do that. That's really important. Really, really important. Vitamin C, I would absolutely do that. Vitamin D, absolutely do that. Zinc and silver, not as important as these 2. Sleep, exercise, absolutely vital, but maybe you just need to rest at this stage. And then garlic, turmeric, ginger, we can all get those in at once, which is what I'm going to show you right now on the next video. So catch you in a bit. Thanks, hope that's been useful. Ben Nash, over and out. Ciao!